Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk honestly for a moment. Today, we're discussing 4 behaviors that can quietly lower how a man perceives your value. This has nothing to do with your true worth, because that is beyond measure. This is about how you present yourself, the standards you set, and what you allow someone to see and experience from you. Welcome to Harvey's World, the place where we talk about real life, self-respect, relationships, and personal growth. If you enjoy meaningful content that helps you become a better version of yourself, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know which country you're watching from. Your support means everything and helps Harvey's World grow. Now let's dive into today's powerful topic: some actions inspire respect. Others invite indifference. When you accept the minimum, that's exactly what you train someone to give you. You can't pour in full effort while allowing someone else to show up halfway. People rise or fall to the expectations placed in front of them. If respect, consistency, and commitment aren't required, they won't magically appear. Men, like most people, tend to choose the easiest path. If little effort gets rewarded, little effort becomes the norm. That doesn't make someone cruel. It makes them human. Think about work for a second if effort and laziness earned the same paycheck. How motivated would anyone be to excel? Relationships follow the same principle. If someone learns they can cancel plans, respond late, ignore your needs, or show inconsistency without consequence, and still keep you, there's no incentive to improve. Growth doesn't happen because someone suddenly feels guilty. It happens when the cost of staying the same becomes too high. It usually starts subtly. Missed messages, less planning. You excuse it, he's busy, he's tired, it's not a big deal. Over time, the effort fades because he knows you'll remain. Then you're left wondering why things changed. The truth is uncomfortable but simple. What's tolerated becomes permanent. The beginning of a relationship doesn't determine its future maintenance does. When standards are clear from the start, a man either rises to meet them or removes himself. And if he leaves, he was never meant to stay. There's a critical difference between compassion and self-abandonment. Being understanding means recognizing that people have difficult moments. Being a doormat means repeatedly justifying behavior that hurts you. Love does not require accepting disrespect. And trust is someone always knows when they're doing the bare minimum. Having standards doesn't mean being difficult, manipulative, or cold. It means knowing your value. It means expecting consistency, effort, and care. When a man truly wants a woman, he doesn't hesitate, he acts. Confusion is not the issue. Fear is not the issue. Lack of value is. Look at women who are in strong, healthy relationships. They aren't begging for attention or chasing validation. They set expectations and walk away when those expectations are met. The right man doesn't feel threatened by standards, he's drawn to them. You cannot change someone by loving them harder. Love doesn't create change, desire does. You can give loyalty, affection, and support endlessly, but without respect, it means nothing. Respect begins with boundaries. Every ignored red flag teaches someone how far they can go. Every apology without changed behavior removes consequences. That's why some women are cherished while others are taken for granted. It's not about appearance or money, it's about boundaries. Constant availability, endless forgiveness, and giving without expectation don't make you loving. They make you easy to overlook. Love should feel balanced and mutual. It shouldn't feel like an audition. A man should pursue you because he values you, not because you're playing games, but because you refuse to accept less than you deserve. Value isn't proven through words. It's proven through what you allow. Stop waiting for potential. Stop hoping effort will appear later. If someone wanted to show up, they already would have. When a man cares, he doesn't risk losing you. He doesn't leave you uncertain. His actions speak clearly. Desperation, however, speaks even louder, and it pushes value away. Chasing, begging, or overgiving shifts the power dynamic. Confidence never pleads for space, it owns it. A woman who knows her worth doesn't compete for attention, she attracts it. Relationships collapse when one person does everything and the other does nothing. When effort isn't required, appreciation fades. When someone knows you'll stay regardless, they stop trying. That's why neediness destroys attraction. It signals that anything will do. A confident woman enters a man's life as a choice, not a convenience. And that changes everything. She adds value to a man's life, but she never makes him her entire universe. She has her own rhythm, her passions, ambitions, friendships, and joy. She doesn't cancel her life just to fit into his schedule, and she never begs for time or attention. When a man sees a woman who is grounded in herself, it naturally draws him in. Confidence has a pull that can't be faked. It sends a clear message: I don't need you to survive, I choose you. And that difference matters. Being chosen feels very different from being kept out of fear of loneliness. A man respects a woman who knows she could walk away if she had to. He steps up because he understands she won't accept half-hearted affection. But when a woman moves from insecurity, everything shifts. She starts justifying behavior she shouldn't. She overlooks clear signs that he isn't fully invested. She convinces herself that if she gives more, loves harder, sacrifices further, something will change. It won't. You cannot force someone to value you by exhausting yourself for them. In fact, the more you overextend, the easier it becomes for someone to take advantage. When effort isn't required, appreciation fades. Anything that comes too easily is rarely respected. Men, like all people, tend to value what they have to work for. This isn't about manipulation or pretending to be unavailable. It's about understanding that effort creates attachment. When everything is handed over without expectation, interest slowly disappears. That's why you sometimes see a man pursue passionately at first, then withdraw once the woman starts doing all the emotional labor. She bends, adapts, gives endlessly, and he pulls away. Not because he's heartless, but because the balance has been lost. When one person gives everything and asks for nothing, they silently teach the other that effort is optional. Once that pattern is set, it's difficult to reverse. You can't begin by offering unlimited access and later demand consistency. It won't make sense to him. That's why standards must exist from the beginning. Your time, energy, and love should feel earned, not freely available to anyone who shows interest. Some women worry that if they stop overgiving, a man will leave. And maybe he will. But if someone only stays because you're carrying the entire relationship, is that really love? You should never have to prove your worth to someone who can't recognize it. Lowering your standards to keep someone close only guarantees you'll lose yourself in the process. A high-value woman knows when to walk away. She understands that love should feel mutual, not exhausting. She doesn't wait around hoping someone will suddenly realize her worth. She already knows it. She doesn't disappear into relationships because her happiness isn't dependent on another person. That energy changes everything. When a man sees that you're fulfilled on your own, he realizes he must contribute meaningfully to your life. He understands that you aren't desperate for affection, and that makes you even more appealing. Desperation repels. Confidence attracts. This isn't about arrogance or emotional games. It's about self-respect. A man will only treat you as well as you allow, accept crumbs, and crumbs are all you receive. Set a standard, and the right man will meet it, while the wrong one removes himself, and that's a win. How you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. When you tolerate emotional neglect, constant excuses, or disrespect, you send a message that your boundaries are flexible. People notice what you excuse. If apologies come without changed behavior and you still stay, the cycle continues because there are no consequences. People don't treat you based on who they are alone. They treat you based on what you allow. Think about the strongest women you know, the ones who are deeply respected and genuinely loved. They didn't get there by tolerating confusion or inconsistency. They didn't waste time explaining why they deserved better. They knew it, and they acted accordingly. Self-respect isn't cold or cruel. It's clarity. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you refuse to participate in anything that diminishes it. When a man sees that you respect yourself, he understands that being in your life is a privilege, not an entitlement. Privileges are earned and they can be revoked. Too often, unlimited chances replace boundaries. Fear of losing someone keeps women accepting behavior they know isn't right. But a relationship without respect is simply loneliness with company. Boundaries mean nothing without consequences. If dishonesty, neglect, or dismissal goes unchecked, your words lose power. It often begins with small things: dismissed feelings, last-minute cancellations, jokes that sting. When ignored, they grow. Small disrespect becomes emotional absence. And by the time it feels unbearable, you may think it's too late. It isn't. The moment you choose self-respect, the dynamic changes. A man notices how you carry yourself. Excessive apologies teach him to shift blame. Constantly seeking approval gives him control. Making him the center of your world places him above you. This isn't cruelty, it's psychology. People test boundaries, often without realizing it. When you respect yourself, everything shifts. You stop over-explaining. You stop convincing. You stop waiting to be chosen because you already chose yourself. And that's when different men enter your life. Men who admire your strength. Men who rise instead of retreat. Men who don't need to be taught how to love you. But it only happens when you stop excusing bad behavior, stop believing love alone will fix things, and stop hoping someone will change without reason to. People value what they must earn. If effort isn't required, it won't be given. You can't expect someone to treat you better than you treat yourself. When you put yourself last, others follow your lead. Confidence is built through action. The more you honor your boundaries, the more natural it becomes. Self-respect doesn't mean pretending not to care. It means knowing when to walk away. It means refusing to lower your standards for comfort. Love should feel safe, not like a constant fight for validation. A man who values you will rise to your standards. A man who doesn't will accuse you of asking for too much. Let him go. The most powerful position in any relationship is knowing your worth so completely that you never settle for less. The right man won't be intimidated by that. He'll be inspired by it. Let me start by saying something very important, and I need you to really hear this. Your value as a woman is not created by a man, and it cannot be taken away by a man. You were valuable before anyone ever noticed you, before anyone ever chose you, and before anyone ever loved you. But while your worth is permanent, the way a man treats you depends heavily on what you allow, what you tolerate, and the standards you set. And that's where many women lose power without even realizing it. Men don't usually wake up one day and decide to stop trying. They don't suddenly become careless or distant for no reason. What happens is much more subtle. It starts with small compromises, little things you let slide, behaviors you excuse because you don't want to seem difficult, needy, or demanding. Over time, those small moments turn into patterns, and those patterns define how a man sees you and how seriously he takes you. One of the fastest ways a woman loses value in a man's eyes is by accepting the bare minimum and convincing herself it's love. When a man only shows effort when it's convenient for him, when he communicates inconsistently, when he gives attention in pieces but expects full access to you and you stay, you are teaching him something very clearly. You're teaching him that what he's doing is enough. Men respond to what works. If showing up halfway still gets him full loyalty, affection, and availability, he has no reason to do more. Men don't rise to what you hope for. They rise to what you require. If respect is optional, it will be skipped. If effort isn't demanded, it won't be offered. Love without standards slowly turns into tolerance, and tolerance turns into resentment. You cannot keep giving 100% of yourself while accepting 50% from someone else and expect balance. All that does is teach him that your full effort doesn't cost him anything. Another major way women lose value is by making a man the center of their entire world. This happens slowly. You cancel plans. You stop doing the things that made you happy. You become overly available. You rearrange your entire life to fit his schedule, his moods, and his priorities. You call it love, loyalty, or commitment, but what it really becomes is self-erasure. And here's the truth. Most people won't tell you when you lose yourself, you don't become more lovable, you become easier to overlook. A man doesn't want to be your entire life. He wants to be part of a full one. Confidence is attractive. Purpose is attractive. Independence is attractive. When a man sees that you have passions, goals, and happiness outside of him, it sends a powerful message. It tells him you are choosing him, not clinging to him. And that difference changes everything. There is a huge difference between wanting someone and needing someone. When a man feels like you need him to feel whole, he starts pulling away. Not because he is cruel, but because neediness creates pressure, and pressure kills desire. Confidence, on the other hand, creates respect. A woman who knows she'll be okay with or without a man moves differently. She speaks differently. She carries herself differently. And men feel that energy immediately. Another thing that destroys value is overgiving without boundaries. Being kind, loving, and generous is not the problem. The problem is giving endlessly to someone who isn't giving back, forgiving without seeing change, accepting apology that aren't followed by better behavior, explaining away disrespect because you see his potential. Love without limits turns into permission for mistreatment. A man always knows when he's doing the bare minimum, always. If there are no consequences when he crosses a line, he learns that the line does matter. People don't change because you explain your feelings better. They change when staying the same costs them something. When you continue to stay, continue to give, and continue to forgive without accountability, you teach him that there is no real risk of losing you. This is why some men treat certain women like queens and others like options. It's not about beauty. It's not about money. It is about boundaries. When your love is unlimited and your standards are flexible, you become easy to take for granted. Anything that costs nothing is rarely valued. Fear is another silent value killer. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that you won, find someone else. Fear keeps women in situations they know are wrong. It makes them ignore. Red flags. Stay quiet when they should speak up. And accept emotional neglect just to keep the relationship alive. But a relationship built on fear will never give you peace. When a man senses that you're afraid to lose him, the balance of power shifts. He may not do it intentionally, but he feels it. And once he knows you'll stay no matter what, the urgency to treat you right disappears. Confidence changes that dynamic. A woman who respects herself doesn't threaten to leave. She can leave. She doesn't beg for love. She expects consistency. And that expectation demands respect. What really teaches a man how to treat you isn't what you say, it's what you tolerate. You can talk about standards all day long, but if your actions don't match your words mean nothing. Boundaries without consequences are just suggestions. If you say you won't tolerate dishonesty but stay when he lies, you've taught him that honesty isn't required. If you say effort matters but accept laziness, you've lowered your own standard. Men pay attention to behavior, not speeches. They adjust based on what's allowed. That's why explaining, begging, and over-communicating rarely fixes anything. Change happens when the cost of bad behavior becomes too high. Here's a hard truth, but it's an honest one. When a man truly values a woman, he doesn't risk losing her. He doesn't keep her confused. He doesn't leave her questioning where she stands. His actions make his intentions clear. So if you're constantly wondering how he feels, where you stand, or what he wants, the answer is already there. This doesn't mean you're unlovable. It doesn't mean you're not enough. It simply means he's not the right man for you. And staying in a situation where you're not valued doesn't increase your worth, it slowly drains it. When you start respecting yourself, everything changes. You stop over-explaining. You stop chasing. You stop proving your worth. You stop waiting for someone to recognize what you already know about yourself. And when that shift happens, you start attracting a different kind of man, men who respect boundaries, men who value effort, men who don't need to be taught how to treat you right. But that only happens when you stop making excuses for bad behavior, stop believing love alone will change someone, and stop hoping someone will become who they've shown you they're not. People value what they have to earn. If effort isn't required, it won't be given. If respect isn't enforced, it won't be offered. You cannot expect a man to treat you better than you treat yourself. If you constantly put yourself last, others will follow your lead. Confidence isn't built through words. It's built through actions. The more you honor your boundaries, the more natural self-respect becomes. You stop explaining why you deserve better because your behavior already shows it. Self-respect doesn't mean acting cold or playing games. It doesn't mean pretending not to care. It means knowing when to walk away. It means refusing to lower your standards just to keep someone interested. Love should feel safe, not like a constant struggle for validation. A man who values you will rise to meet your standards. A man who doesn't will accuse you of asking for too much. Let him go. The most powerful position you can be in is knowing your worth so deeply that you never settle for less. When a man sees that you hold yourself to a high standard, he either steps up or steps aside. And that's exactly how it should be. The right man won't be intimidated by your self-respect. He'll be inspired by it.